We'll call this meeting to order at 2:20.
Him and Rob.
Hey, do bless the place.
Sir. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you. We thank you for this day. We ask that you would please lead and guide and direct us as we make decisions here today. We ask that you would bless everyone and keep everyone safe. And we just thank you and we praise you. Most of all, we thank you for your Son, Jesus. And we ask all these things in His name. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Rex Jordan.
Here.
Gil Smith.
Here.
Bill England.
Honey.
Keith Boston.
Here.
Early Buzzard.
Here.
Joe Bird.
Honey.
Sean Crittenden. Mike Dobbins.
Here.
Shannon Duncan.
Honey.
Wanda Hatfield. Dick Lay. Mike Shambaugh.
Here.
Mary Bakershaw.
Bonnie?
Denise Taylor.
Here.
Tori Vesquez.
Bonnie?
David Walkenstick. Brian Warren.
Honey.
Have a quorum.
Thank you. Management Resources, David Moore. Oh, we gotta do the minutes. Approval of the minutes from March 11th.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. Now, Management Resources. Now you're up, David.
Good
I was trying to
afternoon.
hold it off as long as I could.
That's all right. Good afternoon. Y'all have a report, and I'm here to answer any questions that I can, and if I can't, I will get you the answers.
I guess you probably heard the health committee last session.
Yes, sir.
How much one of those cost generally?
Oh, man.
Is it like 20,000 or
They
100,000?
can go from there up. Yeah, they can start that low and go way up. So I just talked with George. We have it in our budget, and he's going to bid it out and get it in place. First I heard of it, though, was, in y'all's meeting, so.
So it'll be next year, if it's in the budget for next year?
No, he's already got the
It's in budget for this year?
Yeah, he said
Okay.
he's got the money for it, so
Good.
we'll bid it out and get it installed as soon as possible.
Awesome. That'd be a home run.
Yep.
That'd be a good deal.
And I did not know that we had one that was not on generator, because I know
I
that was a
didn't either.
big deal when we were doing the remodels and building the new ones, was to
Yeah.
get the biggest generator we could afford,
Sure.
to run as many services as we could, so.
Yep.
But
Well,
yeah,
that'd be a
we'll
good
get
deal.
it taken care of.
Another thing on the, there at Hastings, on the OSU Medical School, what's the status of that project? Have they already tore the old building down, or?
Yeah, building's down, CM is on board, it's Cooper Flintco, so it's a Taro. They'll actually start, probably excavating the, basement area in the next couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks probably. So, it's moving forward.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions for David? Harley?
I have a couple of questions, David. You just touched reminded me, you said it was Cooper Flintco that was on the building. Is Cooper one of the contractors? Now, I'll tell you the reason I'm asking the question, because when they built the new clinic that they're building up there now, I was under the impression it was Cooper Flintco.
That is Flintco
But it
with.
was
Cooper.
not.
Right, you're right. This one is Cooper Flintco.
So he is part
Yes.
of the contracting on
Yes.
that. That kind of surprised me when, I
think-
guess it was advertised, or maybe I just assumed that it was Cooper Flintco on our new building up there, and then
Yeah.
I drove up there and I saw it was all Flintco signs up there, and I thought it was Cooper involved, but he wasn't involved.
He's involved, yeah, he's involved, but he's just not,
Well, he's involved as an employee
right.
through
Yeah,
Flintco,
he's-
that's
he's
all
a
he
partner
is.
on this
That's
one.
all he, okay. I
And he
thought it-
was with Hard Rock also. It was
Okay.
Cooper Flintco.
That was my question. The other thing, you may have answered this for me. I know you said something, we talked about the pine trees
Yes,
up
sir.
there, and
Yeah, we're moving forward with that. We met
Okay.
last week with everybody and working through Sarah Hill and her group to
Okay.
make sure we do everything the right way.
okay. And then, what about the garden stuff with Creek of Bird that brought up the last meeting? Have we made any progress on getting that stuff?
For next year, I know Todd has worked on some stuff and he knows, or he has an idea of how we can proceed next year on it. But for this year, we don't have anything that we've come up with.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Mr. Dobbins?
David, noticed in your report, it says the Three Rivers parking lot is 85% complete.
Well, we stopped it there. I need to pull that off. It's complete except for the striping, and they're actually getting that done. It was timing with the contractor that had it. He couldn't get it done in time, so canceled the rest of his contract.
So you're done except for striping?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, pretty much.
Yes, David, is Bruce Davis back?
No, ma'am.
Oh, I was just wondering because it says in here that he's the executive director and I thought he signed off, no?
No, not that I know of.
Okay,
I have not been told or anything, so.
okay, it just said executive director Bruce Davis,
Yep.
email Bruce Davis.
He is the executive director right now. I'm interim.
Okay, you might want to put your email then if I had a
Okay.
question.
Yep.
Question, you said here in plans, resurface walking trails, where are those walking trails?
All the clinics have them. There's one here. I think that's it.
So there are walking
Around
trails
the
right here?
complex. Yeah, around the complex, yeah.
Okay, so if I come early next time I wanted to walk, I can, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, I may do that. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Rick. You don't do anything with roads, do you?
No,
Or
sir.
paving roads out?
Do what, I'm sorry?
Okay, I'll ask Michael Lynn.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions for David?
So you have the design for a walking trail on this new clinic?
There is a design, but it's not done. It's not been incorporated in,
Okay.
but there is a,
Will that require additional funding from us if it is going to be?
once we get there, it might, yeah.
Okay.
We're trying to get in and buy some equipment, so that's where the funding, but the only place for it was down below, and they were worried about cameras, emergencies, happening, so, but there's plenty of walking space inside the clinic. It's plenty big,
Thank you, David.
yeah.
Any other questions for David? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good job. Real Estate Services, Ginger Brown.
Good afternoon. You have my report. If you have any questions, I will be happy to address them.
Any questions for Ginger? David?
Hey, Ginger. I was talking to a citizen in Stillwell yesterday, and they're talking about they need an easement through Cherokee Nation to get to their land. I guess in order to do that, they just need to go to your office and
Yes.
identify the track, and then you guys bring it to us for approval. Is that the process?
Yes, if it's trust land, and I believe I know the one you're talking
Okay,
about.
all right.
Yes, it would come through this quorum.
Okay. Are you guys are on top of it then?
They haven't visited our office yet, but I know
Okay.
which one you're talking about.
All right, sounds good. All right, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions? Charlie?
Ginger, I know this restricted property in Jay. I talked to Joel, and I think you may be aware of it, but we've got he had to request him to the BIA to make a determination on what they're going to do. But it's been going on now, like this is the third month, and we can't. I guess you haven't got a notification or what. They were supposed to go up and make a determination whether they're going to make the guy move all that stuff off of that restricted property. But it's almost, they've got tents and carports and
Oh, I
boats.
know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
they're not by the city
We're
park.
treating that as a trespass, and yes, we are on it. We're working with the solicitor's office on it. Yes, we are.
To the solicitor.
Uh-huh, yes.
Does it usually takes a long time to get them to make a
Well,
determination?
they were on, they weren't working for a while, and now they are catching it. They're still playing catch
Okay.
up.
Because
So
it-
I'll make the phone call.
Okay.
And find out where we are on
Yeah,
that.
please-
And Lane Kendall, actually, he's back here. He's the one that's been working,
Status of
been working that case.
Yeah, please do, because
Okay.
it's almost, they've got it almost completely covered up now.
Sure, okay. They've got more stuff on there, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we'll get up there
Okay,
again.
thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes. Ginger, I have a question. I know we help with last will and testaments, and I think that's awesome for our people. If our people, say, own several acres, et cetera, do we ever help them put it in trust to bypass probate so they don't have to pay taxes?
No.
No.
If it's a simple last will and testament, we do simple last will and testaments. That's all that we do.
Just out of curiosity, could we not get like some kind of a form where we help them with a trust to help, so our citizens don't have to pay taxes?
Well, that would be a good idea. There's a little bit more to that, but that's something we could look at.
You know, would you mind doing that?
No, absolutely
I
not.
mean-
I can talk with our AG's office and
The
get with
AG's right
them.
back there, but that would be a great service for our Cherokee citizens. I mean, not to have to pay taxes upon the death of a loved one. Would you mind doing that? I mean, I think it
I'll
would
be
be
happy to look into that
Thank
and
you.
discuss that with his
Yeah, I mean,
office.
something simple, a little form or something. But any money we could save our people, I think it would be awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
I think the Piney Community Building, I know it just comes up every month. Is there a way to expedite that process and get that land over to Cherokee Nation? Right now, the Bureau owns it, but
We check on that monthly, and we do. We check on that monthly, and I have it on my queue in April to send another letter, and I will do that and try to find out where we are on that, and maybe move it on further.
the other question I have is, on probates, like, when there's a restricted piece of property, and a family goes in and does a probate on the property, is there any way to keep the land in restriction, or where it's non-taxable land, or whenever you do the probate, it automatically lifts the restriction?
No, it does not automatically lift restriction. Up until December 31st, if it was less than half blood, it did, but with the 47 Act, it will not automatically lift that restriction. It will pass over to a Cherokee citizen,
Well, will that,
as long as they're Cherokee citizen.
if this happened, 2 years ago, this probate, will they still be able to put it back into?
No, it is not retroactive.
Okay.
No, it's not. And we get that we will be having training on that on May the 7th from the Eastern Oklahoma Regional Office, so everyone's on the same page with the 5 tribes. However, I know that it's not going to be a retroactive situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to the family at Bell, and they were
Uh-huh.
talking about that. I didn't know, that's what I thought. I thought when they did the
Mhm.
probate, it lifted the restriction.
A lot of
I didn't
people
know.
waited for this 47 Act amendment to pass before they came on in and did their
Gotcha.
probate, and so, and that's a positive thing. Yeah.
But is there a process to put land back into restriction? Is there?
I mean, if they were to go back, no.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Harley?
Got a follow-up question. I'm talking about restrictions being removed. What is the, probably the number one reason that people ask to remove the restrictions? Do you have any idea?
Sometimes they don't want to pay taxes, or,
Oh,
no, I'm
they
sorry.
want-
To have restrictions removed, a lot of people just want to have control over their own property. They want to build a house on it, and the mortgage company needs it in their name in fee title. A lot of times, well, that's mainly it. They want to have total control over their property.
And, just thinking about that, that's one of the criteria that we use when we see roads. Restricted property, trust property up and down a particular road, and it gets more points. And if they want to sell, I don't know if the Cherokee Nation, if we ever, as a nation, ever buy those pieces of property that they want to sell. Have we, or do you?
Over the past 7 years that I'm aware
Yeah.
of, we haven't purchased any of those restricted properties, but we do assure that those restricted owners get on the take,
Yeah.
make sure that they get the money's worth,
And I guess that's,
or the land's worth.
and I know some of those restricted properties are in a location that, they're landlocked. It's a problem, but I'm just wondering why we don't try to purchase those properties to keep the properties, and we could put them in trust. I don't know, I guess some of the reasons are because they are landlocked, because a lot of them are.
A lot of the restricted properties are landlocked.
But what concerns me is the people that's lifting those restrictions. Of course, you don't have any control over those people.
Mhm. We have over, we have right at 46,000 acres in restricted property, just a little less than 46,000 acres.
Is there any way that you could make a map, a condensed map, and show us where those are?
We could do that.
I'd like for this committee to look at those parcels.
Give me a few months,
Okay,
only
sure.
because once the TAMS process is completed and we have all of that encoded into TAMS, it would be more accurate than if we did it now.
And I think it'd be interesting for this committee to take a look at all the restricted properties, and even trust would be included in that. Okay, well, that's just a concern of mine.
And we do have maps in the office.
Okay, yeah, we're just losing a lot of the restricted
Sure.
properties out there. And it does, and I know for roads especially, we use that as towards our calculation and getting points, so.
Maybe the 47 actually.
Yeah, that may help. Thank you, sir.
Chief.
Yes, it seems like I get frequent calls about restricted land as well. And I was considering maybe drafting a resolution of some kind and establishing a restricted land committee. Because the ones that are landlocked, and I have family that has land that's landlocked, there's not too many options out there for that. If they don't give you an easement, then you're just in a bind. You can walk to that land and use it as much as you can, but if you got a mile or two walk in the woods, then you know that's a task.
My office tries to work with those adjoining landowners if we have restricted owners who would like to see where their original allotment was. Our office tries to work with the adjoining landowners to get access to it, even if it's some of our elders who would like to see it, who haven't seen it in many, many years.
Yes.
If they're able to, sometimes the only access is by way of, with a four-wheeler or,
Right.
you know, and so occasionally we have done that.
Well, that's better than none,
Uh-huh.
as long as they keep possession of it.
Uh-huh.
But I want to thank you and your staff because, you know, we've acquired more land and got more land back in trust since you took over that realty position. We really appreciate what you do, Ginger. and
I have a hard-working
us
staff.
informed.
I
You
really
have
do.
a good staff. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Ginger? Thank you. Done a
Thanks.
good job.
Thanks.
Environmental programs, Mr. Tom Elkins.
Good afternoon. Thought I was going to go to here and fly backwards. Just have a few things to discuss with you, unless you have any questions. I have my deal here. Yeah. Well, you have our report in front of you. There's a couple things I wanted to discuss outside of that. This month, as for the past, I guess how many is this? This is probably the 7th or 8th environmental festival that we've had at the Cherokee Nation. And the next one here is right after Earth Day. It's on the 26th of this month, on that Friday. We've had them all over the Cherokee Nation at different times. I think last year was at Pryor at that industrial park. I tried to get kids, we tried to get some classes in there of younger kids and show them some environmental issues. And, they have booths from state, federal, and different tribes have been there before. And this year we're having it at NSU, so it's somewhat close proximity for some of you. We hope we can get to that. I'll certainly send out a flyer to you this afternoon so that if you can get that on your calendar, that would be great. I did want to talk about some of the household hazardous waste events that we've had and that we're having. Let's see. We're having, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 of these throughout the Cherokee Nation this spring and early summer. We've already had one in Claremore and Tahlequah. And we're going to do Grove, Nowata, Veneta, Salisal, and Pryor. And I can send those dates out to you with that too. We've also tried to get some of these townships and areas that one of the big things lately is to get pharmaceutical boxes where you can dispose of pharmaceuticals without flushing them down the toilet or throwing them in the trash. And we're doing that in Claremore, Tahlequah, which is already taking place, Nowata, Salisal, and Pryor. The other towns and township areas already have that service. But we're doing that, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Have any questions for Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was reading here, Tom, on the Can you tell me anything about the water treatment plant or anything, maybe a plan down at Cherokee Nation Park?
I can't tell you specifically. I know Billy Hicks in Water and Sanitation and Engineering looks at any type of plans like that. I don't know how much they're planning on putting into that.
Okay.
I don't know. I do know that people have been looking into that and the feasibility of doing
Yeah,
something like
cool.
that.
All right, thank you, Tom.
Absolutely.
Harley?
Yeah, you talked about the disposal for medications.
Pharmaceuticals, yes, sir.
Do you know where the one is today? I'm sure.
You know, I don't. Some of those, I can find out about that specific one, but a lot of those are at the law enforcement, whether it be the city police or the county sheriff's office.
Can I ask Mike?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we have that up there, please?
What's that?
To dispose medical?
Pharmaceuticals?
Yes, we do. We have looks like a little mailbox at the police department. We all.
And that's what most people
Okay.
have, so that it's locked up and only the law enforcement can get into it.
Then I do have a follow-up question, Tom. On our landfill, that sale that we're building out there,
Right.
did we contract that out, or are we doing that ourselves, or?
No, we've contracted it out. It's with an engineering firm. The engineering firm we've used in the past has split up, but we're using the people that are real familiar with the landfill, so they've looked at a lot of that. They've built a lot of the sales that are out there, in fact, most of them. Really sharp guys, and we're working very close with them. We have a tentative look at late June, July, but, you know, with any kind of a big process like that, it's not so much change orders, but things that we just haven't quite anticipated. And as we get down to the final parts of it, we're just having to try to stay ahead of some of those things. But it'll be done this late summer, sometime, midsummer.
I know, I'll ask the question anyway. Is that being funded through the landfill,
Well, the landfill's owned by the Cherokee Nation and run under Miss Hill's group, so it's being funded by the Cherokee Nation.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Tom?
What's the highest levels of radon in the area?
Ma'am, that varies. It's amazing. It comes from the geology. So things that, if you have granite or a lot of, that we call them reducing environments, where uranium, small, just microscopic parts of it will get kind of caught up in the geology of the area, and then we call those daughter products of uranium, and radon is one of those. You can have a house that's built just a little bit different from another one, and radon might be under that, but won't come up into that house. We've actually worked with the housing authority at different times. You can take a house that we suspect might be in a high area of radon, which the Cherokee Nation, there's some houses that have enormous amounts. It's just amazing. And then a house 4 or 5 blocks around the corner won't have anything. But we can put a passive radon mitigation system in there for a few $100s. If you have to go in and retrofit it after the house is built, it can cost several thousands of dollars.
Do we test, before the housing authority comes in and builds any of our homes, do we do any soil testing?
It's not really, again, because it's not just the soil, but it's how the house is built. There's so many variables in that. In fact, we have maps, and we get a GPS point of every site that we do, whether it's an environmental thing or water or lead-based paint or whatever. We get a GPS point on that. So we can map the areas that we've done radon testing in. We've done that for 15 years or more, probably close to 20. And there is just not a complete tie-in to the location and if it's going to have radon. What it would be nice to do is if we could encourage our tribal citizens, if you're going to build a house, you know, you can put a system in this house for $300 or $400 right now. But if you have to do it, you know, if you check it, there's no way to check it beforehand and be really confident that you're either going to have radon in there or not. But if you do it after the fact, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000.
You see, the problem is that so many of our citizens will do good to make the $350 house payments. That's the problem we have.
Well, in the whole scheme of building a house, $300. I mean, I don't want to minimize that at all.
No, we don't want
but,
to. Yes.
If it's again, if you could do it up front of a $85,000, $100,000 house, whatever that might be, $300 is something pretty cheap to put in there.
Yeah. Well, if you can come up with an alternative on ways for us to do some testing and measurements before that house is built at an economical.
We've absolutely looked into that. They're just, and we've asked around the whole country. I mean, we work with people all over the country with this type of stuff, with EPA regions all over, and there's just no good way to tie it. Because, again, we've had houses that were, there's a young lady that works in our group that she bought her home, checked it for radon, and it's one of the highest we've ever had. And she had to put, I think hers cost $4,000 or $5,000 to mitigate that. She put what's called a passive system in there where there's no blowers or anything. It just allows that radon to go out. Didn't catch it. She had to put a very expensive active system in there with blowers in there that actually sucks air out and removes it from her home.
My goodness.
And it was just, there's just no good way to do it. I think we'd spend more money than if we just really were able to put them in up front.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for Tom?
Thank you very much.
Secretary of Natural Resources, Ms. Sarah Hill.
Glad you asked your scientific questions of Tom and not of me. He is more knowledgeable about radon gases than I am. I've changed my report up a little bit. Instead of trying, I feel like I dump a lot of information on you all. Today I'm going to just talk about 3 things and try to do a little bit deeper dive on 3 important things that we're working on right now. So the first thing I want to talk about was Tar Creek. You probably are all familiar with the Tar Creek Superfund site. It's mostly up in the, what they call the old Tri-State Mining District up in the corner of Oklahoma. But that mining waste, of course, it hits Tar Creek and eventually it runs into the Grand Lake of the Cherokee, so it crosses over into the Cherokee Nation. And we've been working for a really long time, for years, environmental program staff, and then when I was at the AG's office, and today have worked with them with the Tar Creek Trustee Council, which is made up of multiple tribes, federal agencies, and the state. And in the past, we've been pursuing what we call the assessment phase of this project. So we're looking at natural resource damage restoration. So taking damaged resources and restoring or replacing them, using the money of the people that caused the pollution. So in the previous years, we've been working on what we call the assessment phase, where you're trying to find out who caused the pollution, who are the people that could be held responsible for that, and how do we get some money out of these corporations that are responsible for the pollution. And in a couple of cases, in this Tar Creek case, we were able to find people that still had insurance policies or other assets. And we were able to settle with Peabody, and we're currently in the middle of settling with the Blue Tea Corporation. So there's 2 big bankruptcies. It's all long, complicated legal histories of both of those cases. But the good news is there's actually money available to do restoration for the first time. So after really well over a decade of work from all these different Indian tribes and the feds and the states, we finally have some money to put toward restoration. All of the money has to go back into restoring or replacing this, the actual improving the land. It can't be used for any other purpose. It has to go into restoration. And the money can only be spent with all of the people in the trustee council agreeing, so it has to be done by consensus. So right now we're working on a restoration plan, all of the different, everyone wants some input into, and of course it's very, I call it advanced intergovernmental cooperation, because you have a lot of competing things that people want. Some people want aquatic restoration, some people want terrestrial. All the different tribes, of course, want some of the restoration focused on their areas. So we've been working really closely with the other tribes. I had a meeting with Secretary Wagner, someone from the office of the DOJ office in Washington, D.C., and also someone from the state AG's office. And we're putting together our restoration plan. So we're looking forward to getting a long-term project like this gets exciting at this point for us, where we have real dollars to put toward restoration. So that's a pretty important project. That area is still tremendously impacted by pollution. There are still areas that are being cleaned up by the EPA, but this part of it that we've been working on is we're getting ready to get into the exciting part now, where we can get some real restoration projects on the ground. So we're excited about that. Another project that I wanted to update you on was our electric vehicle project. We have basically two different pots of federal money that we've been using for our electric vehicle infrastructure project. We've been using the BIA climate resilience dollars, and then we got some other dollars for they call the low-no grant, low and no emissions grant for our transit buses, which we talked about earlier. And then we have another pot of money, our third and our largest pot of money, which is not federal money, but money from Volkswagen, from the big settlement that corporation paid. And we're going to get our first payment from them. We hope, we're supposed to have it on May 15th, $808,000 that we can use. We have plans right now to replace an old diesel bus at Sequoia High School with an all-electric bus that will be able to run the route for the Sequoia School, which they're really excited about. We're also going to be able to put in and pay for the charging infrastructure for that bus. So that'll be good for the kids who have to ride on the bus every day, and good for the environment. We're also looking at, under the low-no grant, putting electric charging infrastructure at Catoosa, Siloam, Stillwell, and in Tahlequah, and running transit buses, so 2 new transit buses, which we're hopefully getting ready to order. We just got all of the signs inside translated into the syllabary, so where anytime there's a sign directing you to do something, it will be in English and in the syllabary in the bus. Because there's so much interest, because diesel buses they're more expensive to buy, but over the long term, they're much cheaper to operate. So a lot of cities and airports and counties are ordering these buses, so the wait to get it manufactured is getting longer and longer. So we're trying to get our order in as quickly as we can, but it'll still be several months before they're ready to deliver those buses at this point, probably somewhere like 9 to 12 months. But we're still happy to get those submitted and get that going. Our climate resiliency funding from the BIA, we're hoping to use to continue to add solar components to all of our different projects. So not only will we have the electric charging infrastructure, but we'll have some solar component to that. So we'll be offsetting the electric bill that we will be having for that. And so that, along with all of the other work that we're doing with other, we're really trying to put together what we think will be, I'm almost positive this will be the largest investment in electric infrastructure in any country. I just can't see how that couldn't be true, knowing what's going on in the United States. But more than that, I think that by the time that we are able to really complete this project, because it starts with these 4 spaces, but we have plans to build it out all over Cherokee Nation, where you'll be able to easily drive from the southern end to the northern end of Cherokee Nation, and not have to worry about not having a place to charge your electric vehicle. That we will really make Northeast Oklahoma one of the most connected places from an EV standpoint in the country. That there won't be any place in California that's going to have better connectivity than we're going to have here, if we were able to build out our plans the way that we want to. So I just wanted to let you know that how aggressively hard we're working on this. I think it's good for a lot of reasons. One, it future-proofs Cherokee Nation. So as our transit moves from gas-powered and diesel-powered to electric-powered, our part of Oklahoma is not going to be caught behind. We're going to be ahead of the curve there. And also because I think it's very affordable for our families. Even today, even with not having as great infrastructure as we want, most families that have 2 vehicles could have 1 electric vehicle that they use. For most of your driving around town, going back to work every day, and if gas prices creep up, as they always do, because it's the boom and bust cycle of oil, those families have a hedge against that. And electric cars are very affordable now. We now have a special deal with the Nissan Leaf, where any tribal citizen living anywhere can get $3,500 right off the top of the manufacturer's price for a Nissan Leaf, and then there's a $7,500 tax credit that you can get, which makes a brand new Nissan Leaf less than $20,000. That's a very good price for a brand new car, and one that really could, if gas prices begin to creep up and you're commuting 40 miles to work every day, that can mean the difference between paying that electric bill or not paying that electric bill, or whatever other bills you've got going on. So it could be a huge thing for families to have 1 electric and 1 gas-powered car. Even the way Cherokee Nation is today, I think that's doable for any 2-car family. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that and the broader plan of what we're looking at. And then the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. That's the Norwegian seed vault that they built, basically as a way to protect humanity's seeds in the case that we have a regional or a global disaster or something that threatens the biodiversity of our seeds. Cherokee Nation, we had a story run recently on NPR about our seed bank and all the hard work that our folks do, and it caught the attention of the Svalbard seed vault, and they've asked us if we would want to store seeds in their vault, which is really a great thing. So That protects us if in the future we had some kind of cataclysmic, terrible fire at the complex and the seed bank was destroyed, or if there was a really terrible drought for some reason and our genetics were threatened, we could go back to the Svalbard seed vault in Norway and pull our seeds back out, and those would be protected permanently. Those seeds belong to the Cherokee Nation. No one else can take them out except for us, so it's more like a safe deposit box that you've got in between Norway and the North Pole. On some archipelago, they've built this seed vault where they protect the world's seeds. And so I'm really proud that they invited us to put our seeds there. They don't take any seeds that are genetically modified. So that will, it's a safety net for us in case of our own personal disasters that we have here. And really, it's just something that I think all Cherokees should sleep a little better at night, knowing that the varieties of the species that are most important to us are protected in a new way. So I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Any questions?
Sarah, is that going to be advertised in some manner, like either in the magazine or the newspaper or online, to tell the public about that? 'Cause that's
Actually, I right before I came here, I thought I should probably tell communications before I do this. They're definitely going to do some kind of something about it. They only open the seed vault once a year to do new editions, so it won't be open until February. So we're hoping for a good year this year, so we can put all of our newest and best genetics into the seed vault. So it'll probably be in February when the seeds go there.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Polly?
Yeah, Sarah, that's some really good, exciting news that you just talked about. I'm really interested in the transportation, and I know I've heard a lot of people talk about transportation of individuals from their homes to clinics and stuff. This is not going to work like that, but still, it's a start, to get these transportation systems set up. But I'd like to see something even go further to where you could make special runs out to different communities, like Kenwood, for instance.
Right.
Take those people that need to go to the clinic or have a route that does stuff like that. So I think it's a good start.
This does add 2 new, so we didn't, it's replaced for the Volkswagen Dollar, so we have to replace an old diesel bus. The low note is we can add 2, so we were able to add, we just had to show that we had the capacity for more of it. So we're actually adding 2 new electric buses to the transit route without killing any of the others. So that actually should help that a little bit.
And how long will a charge stay up on a sedan, a vehicle?
So it depends on the vehicle that you buy. So,
Right.
but the new Nissan Leaf will do 150 miles.
150 miles.
150 miles. And it depends, of course, on weather. If it's in very cold weather, they don't go as far as they do in better, warmer weather.
Then if a guy had one that he bought and was going to use at home, do you just plug it into an electrical outlet, or do you know that?
You can plug it into an electrical outlet. It takes a long time to charge them that way. But if you have a 240, like for a dryer, you can plug that in and they can charge in 6 or 7 hours. It's much faster. We actually, with the Nissan Leaf, we've had problems keeping enough Leafs in the region for the people that want them. So if someone's they want to buy a Leaf, they're having trouble finding one in our area, they need to let Pat or I know, and we'll try to help them find one. It really is driving an electric vehicle, and we had a ride and drive event at the complex. We're going to have another. It was like our test run for our ride and drive events. We're going to have another one coming up as the weather improves a little bit to give people a chance, because it's a little intimidating if you've never driven an electric car to think about having one. But if you have a chance to drive one, I think you begin to see, how fun they are to drive, and you begin to see how it could fit into your life. So it gives people a chance to test drive different models too, because we try to have several different models for them to drive.
Thank you. Thanks, Doug.
Yes.
Sarah, would you get one of these vehicles and see if the council members let it give us see what we think about those? How long did you say they would go?
150 miles. The Leaf will go without any charge. Now a car like Councilman Taylor has will go significantly further than that. I think her car will do almost 300 miles on a
Yeah,
single
but she
charge.
won't let us ride with her. We try to keep her. So if I took off to Oklahoma City, someone need to pick me up around Seminole.
It depends, and they have some cars, electric cars have small electric generators built into them that you can put like a couple gallons of gas in the tank. So if you need to limp along at 60 miles at a time, you can do that. They're called a range extender, and my car will do that. My electric car will. But the Nissan Leaf doesn't do that. It is all electric. And really, if you think about your average day, and you all are maybe not average people because many of you drive so far to the council meetings. But for your average person that commutes to work 20 or 30 miles, you don't that will, 85% of your driving, your needs will be met with that car. And then if you have another car in your family that's gas-powered for those longer trips to Oklahoma City, I think most people would find that that would be a good addition to their life, not a convenience, not an inconvenience. Because once you get used to not putting gas in your car, it is painful to go to the gas station. I can attest to that.
Especially when it's $3 a gallon a few years ago.
Yeah, and we know those times will be back. It's just.
How expensive did you say those buses were compared to the regular diesel? Did you?
Now, I can't remember. I know that they're about 35% more expensive up front than the diesel buses are, but over the life of that, they're far cheaper to operate.
Okay, thank you,
And they
sir.
also don't have as many problems in terms of there's not as many parts to break in electric cars as are in an engine.
Good report. That's very interesting.
Well, I hope that would be more interesting than sort of throwing everything I've done in the last month at you guys like I tend to do.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sarah, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Councilman?
Good. I have two questions. Is there any news on any chicken news?
Chicken news.
Yep.
So yes and no. I have been meeting very regularly with the Secretary of Energy and the Environment from Oklahoma and Becky Koch, and she's the equivalent person over in Arkansas. And we've been talking a lot about the water issues specifically related to poultry. I don't have anything to announce, but I'm talking to them almost every week about these issues, trying to figure out whether there's some room there for us to come up with some better solutions than what we've got right now. The other I really haven't had very many productive conversations with the new Secretary of Ag, but I have had productive conversations with the Secretary of Energy and the Environment. The other people that we've been talking to is we've been talking to the folks at NRCS and OCC, the Oklahoma Conservation Commission, Trey Lamb, and I met with them in the last couple weeks to talk about, because there's really two components to this. There's what do we do about the people that are already living with this is one component. And the other component is how do we prevent this from happening in the future to other people? And so I think working with OCC and NRCS, we have the potential to find some ways to help the people that have already been negatively impacted. And then with the Secretary of Energy and the Environment, I'm hoping to get some better solutions for people so this doesn't happen in the future, because I really feel like he understands and gets that this is a problem. So they're still relatively new folks. We're educating them both about the problems that we have and the problems that the tribe itself is facing, like what this means to a tribal government and the burden that this places on us. So I don't have any grand pronouncements or anything, but we're continuing to have these conversations with them about what can be done in the future.
And my other question was, well, it's not really a question, but I guess it is. I don't know if you're familiar with the old Oak Hill Piney Schoolhouse, or east of Jay.
I know the area, but I don't know the schoolhouse.
Well, there's been a building that's been condemned, and there's a mural, a Cherokee mural in that building that really needs to be removed from that building. It's a very nice mural, but if something doesn't happen before long, that building may fall down and we may lose that forever. It's pretty good size. You'd have to look at it to see what it would take to get it out of there and get it put somewhere else. But that would be something that would be terrible to lose if it gets.
Can I get with you after the meeting to get some information about the current owners?
Yep, you bet.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely look into that. Thank you.
It's like a 4 by 15 dimension. It's an old Cecil Dick.
Oh, wow.
You're up. Yeah.
All right.
I got one. It's summertime coming, and now all the trout fishermen on the lower Illinois are very concerned, and the businesses are. And we're going to have a meeting, and I would like to have somebody from your office come down to that meeting. I'll get you the dates.
Okay.
So they've had a lot of water rights changed around, haven't they? Different
Yeah.
ones. It's kind of complicated the way they're doing it.
I really think we're going to have to dig in and probably write a new congressional act to fix that problem. I really do, because they've got that 10-killer allocated so hard. There's so many different allocations. All these people own a little piece of the water, and the people that we used to depend on to give us a little bit of that water, those water rights have been passed off to others now. So we really have a problem there, and there is no way that I know of to go in and fix that solution short of trying to get legislation passed up through Congress. So maybe I will have a more creative thought or idea on that, but right now I think we may have to really start considering doing some major organizing and doing some major legislative pushing.
I think there'll be a lot of people get behind you because there's a lot of people concerned on that.
Yeah, every year this is a huge issue, and sometimes we have a little bit of rain in the summer and it works out okay, and some years it's just, there are just dead fish everywhere and it's really terrible. So I will, whatever meeting it is, if you'll give me the dates, if there's any way possible for me to be there, I will personally be there.
Oh, Brownfield program, who would be the best to talk to in your group about them?
Brownfields, it's not Bobby Short, who? Okay, I would talk to Wayne.
Dr. Wayne? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Good question, good question.
All right, thank you.
Good job. Old business done pending, new business done pending, any announcements? Just need a motion.
Well, I do have one announcement. Shelley says your books for the April 25th meetings are on your desks. They will not be mailed, so be sure to grab them when you leave. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? We are.